So men's health matters because we contribute more than just the genetic material. We contribute how that genetic material is expressed, and so that's one of the key components. We contribute how the placenta grows and develops, which is really important for conditions in pregnancy that the woman might experience, like higher blood pressure, diabetes with pregnancy, as well as the growth and development of the child as far as weight. The other thing that's really important is we know that pregnancy can be a really stressful environment. And as much as we are prepared physically, mentally, emotionally for that process, we can support the woman through that process. And so men's health matters more than just the genetic material that we pass, but also the ability that we have to control the health outcome of that child, but also the health of our partners. Another big contributor to the outcome of pregnancies and the ability to conceive is how well we are supplying nutrition to ourselves. There's no specific diet that's associated with improved pregnancy outcomes or improvement in infertility, but we do know that as much as we can try and eat sort of the whole food, the whole plant, the whole meat, those things, we can try and boost the antioxidant load that men experience. And we know that that's really important for protecting the DNA of the sperm. The DNA of the sperm plays a really important role in how fertilization happens, what genetic material is passed at the time that the egg and the sperm meet, and then ultimately the outcomes that are associated with that, like developing the placenta, ultimately growing and developing a child because of that placenta working efficiently like it should. There are a lot of companies that try and package a bunch of these minerals and antioxidants together. And mostly that's covered in a traditional, men's vitamin, but there are some importance in making sure that we're getting the proper breakdown in minerals and nutrients from that perspective. Now, as much as you can control your health and development leading up into pregnancy, it can help promote a healthy mental state. It can help promote a sense of well-being within yourself that hopefully allows you to support your partner in the best way during a time that they may not feel their best. And we know that that has pretty significant outcomes on whether or not people end up with preterm deliveries, what the health of that pregnancy is even after delivery. And so as much as you can be there mentally, physically, emotionally for your partner, that can play a pretty significant role in the outcome of that pregnancy. And all of that starts before pregnancy even happens. And your ability to set goals for yourself, achieve those goals of health. The health of the man plays a pretty significant role in how difficult or easy it is to conceive. We know that about 40% of infertile couples will have some sort of male factor contribution to that infertility. It may not be the sole reason, but it is a contributing factor. There are a couple things that play a role in how sperm is grown and developed. One that we're starting to see more often than not is weight. Weight plays a pretty significant role in how the body processes insulin and sugar, and we know that that can control how much sperm is being produced or the quality of that sperm. We know that controlling or being intentional about our diet and getting the proper antioxidants and nutrients plays a really significant role in sperm production growth, development, and motility, which is really important. We know that Our chronic levels of stress or our ability to control that stress can play a pretty significant role in that process as well. One of the best ways that we see people boost their antioxidant and control their stress is actually with exercise. Exercise of about 30 minutes a day of some sort of moderate intensity exercise, something that maybe causes you to take a few deep breaths if you're talking to someone during that exercise, can promote an antioxidant-rich environment, ultimately protect the DNA of the sperm, and make it a much higher quality sperm for ultimately better pregnancy outcomes, but also to control how long it takes someone to conceive. And so these things, these key areas, mental, physical, nutritional, all of these things work together to improve men's health. When we try to investigate how much the men's health contributes to the infertility journey or pregnancy journey that someone is experiencing, there are some things that we can test and some things that we can't test as well. Some of the things that we can test is how much sperm is present. That's one of the really good indicators for, are you likely to produce a pregnancy with your partner? That doesn't necessarily dictate the vitality of that sperm, but it at least tells us that the tissue that's responsible for making that sperm is working well. The thing that is more associated with the vitality of the sperm is actually how much of it is moving. And that can be a really good indicator of, are we getting the proper nutrition? Are we getting the decent exercise? Is something like weight or chronic conditions affecting your ability to conceive, or will potentially affect the pregnancy that follows? The other thing that we look at is something called strict criteria morphology. That's how well is the sperm head shape appear. And that can be a subtle representation of the likelihood that it fertilizes properly and maybe the genetic material that's there. We used to be able to test more consistently whether or not DNA is being broken down with the sperm. We don't routinely test that much anymore, primarily because of the cost barrier. We know that if there is some abnormality there, the recommendation is to change our lifestyle. And so the recommendation now is just to make these intentional changes that aren't harming anything, but really helping overall. And so our recommendation each time that we see a patient is to focus on the health goals that we can change. Weight goals, trying to get our BMI into a normal weight range. Exercise goals, trying to reach a certain amount of exercise each day to help promote overall health, as well as focusing on our nutrition or diet, trying to get as much of the healthy things in our diet while avoiding the ultra-processed foods, things that may not be the healthiest for us. And those things we can't always test, but we know will help.